3, 2, 1. And liftoff. Lexi is about to explode. Hello. This is the Brooks and Lexy Podcast with one of your co-hosts, Brooks Ellis, and the other co-host, the beautiful Lexi Diaz. So I'm going to do a little intro and then go into what we're doing here. My name is Brooks. I am a former NFL linebacker, former Arkansas Razorback linebacker, and currently living in Fayetteville. That's a little bit about me. I'm currently selling medical devices for my day job, but for my side hustle, I like to learn about the body, learn about health, and go on really long walks in the sun for as long as possible. And sometimes I stare at the sun. And it's good for you at sometimes of the day. So we'll talk about that later. But so that's me, and then we have Lexi J Diaz, CSCS. Would you like to speak more? Or
sure,
okay.
I'd love to.
Here we go. And we have one mic, so we're making it work. One mic, one headphone. But go ahead.
I'm Lexi. I own Kokora Sports Performance. I've been doing that for about 4 years. You can hear me on the earphones. Okay. 4 years, and I have just been on a journey to help others live better lives in their bodies. A lot of us are disconnected, and we are on a journey to connect mind, body, and spirit into action. I've done a bunch of different things, and I am finally finding my groove in holistic health.
Yeah. So what all are you certified in? Tell me the courses that you've taken within the past 3 days, because I feel like I feel like you've taken a time.
In the past 3 days.
You know everything about everything.
I do. No, I'm kidding. First of all, I'm very excited. I forgot to say that. Very excited to be doing this.
I am also excited.
Just a little bit more.
I think we were very nervous coming into this, but now
a groove.
We're good.
Not in the past 3 days. I've not taken anything, but I have my strength and conditioning specialist license. I am a licensed manual therapist. I'm a doula. I'm a functional movement specialist. I have too many degrees. What else? I do body work. I help women through birth. I help sports performance. That's all I can think of right now. I like to talk a lot.
You do a little bit of everything.
I do. I got my hand in a little bit of everything.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
I coach. Nutrition coach.
Yeah.
CrossFit.
Nice.
Okay, that's all.
So you have active clients that you've been working with for a considerable amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And how is that going?
It's going great.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of my learning comes from working with people.
Mm.
We're all just learning.
We're all just learning. And that's okay. So, and back to the podcast, this is what the goal of the podcast is to learn, to investigate, and to share what we learn with as many people as we can share it with. And so further on that, I think that the reason we're getting together is because there's a lot of sickness in the world. It's a very sick society. And we believe that humans are capable of so much more than they're currently doing. And it's a complicated deal, but it's also very simple. And we believe that utilizing certain practices that are simple, that are ancient, that so many of the philosophers back in the day and even the religions, like they all knew about these very simple practices that align you with God, what God wants you to do. And we're not going to get into religion too much. We might have a couple episodes. We might. Yeah. But God built us for a reason, and to be empowered, powerful individuals that move throughout the world with a strong, happy posture. And I say posture because it's, not only an erect spine, but it's
our heart position.
Or your heart position. That's a great. Oh, I love that. That's perfect. Your heart position, the way you carry yourself about the world. And, we see so many people that are just trudging through life. And we believe there's more than that. We believe that there's more to life than just trudging along and making do.
Being connected to the source, loving our feelings, talking about our feelings, all those things.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Because it all matters.
It all matters. Yeah. So we're really excited to start this. Lexi, do you have anything else that you want to share on that?
I feel like we need to.
I'm pointing at the mic.
Yelling with your hands.
Screaming with my hands.
Well, no, I just feel like we need to share how we even got here, because I feel like we're two random people and I don't know how to share that.
Okay.
I feel like during quarantine, maybe?
Lexi doesn't know how to share a lot of things.
Oh my God.
It's a feeling a lot of the time. So you just kind of have to
feel with me.
Yeah. Feel her energy. Yeah. Okay. So how did we get here? So for me, I'm going to start off with me, as I just take over.
I love it. Go for it.
Okay. So I've been on a journey. Obviously football has been a big part of it. And, throughout my life, I had chronic inflammation issues and allergies and all this stuff. And, I was taking multiple allergy pills a day, and I just was uncomfortable in my own skin. And I did not, even though I was successful at football, there was always something kind of missing, it felt like. And I didn't know what it was. And then I started doing, throughout high school, throughout college, I started doing some research on different, like trying to eat a healthy diet and take care of your body. And I was always a hard worker, so I'd be in the gym, I wouldn't say twice as much, but I would take extra time to work on my body. And sometimes it was too stressful for my body to recover. And so just a lot of experimentation and, trial and error, led in. I didn't figure it out for the longest time, and I'm still very much figuring it out. But I went to the NFL. I was still having like numerous just nagging injuries that wouldn't go away. I was carrying a lot of extra weight, and I didn't make the team in New England. And then, I started working out again. I made the team for Jacksonville. And there was still something off. And so in the off season, I tried this new diet and we'll speak about this later, but it was intermittent fasting, and my allergy issues completely went away. I was sleeping better. I felt better. I was energetic. I just felt alive. I felt like life was meant to be lived in that way. You're just so in love with the work that you're doing, not because you're forced to, but because when you love it, it's challenging, and that other people are going to be grateful for the work that you're doing. And so, for me, that was obviously football. I was starting a t-shirt company at the same time, and that kind of fell out towards the end there. But I wanted to get back to, I wanted to hold on to that power and that just vitality for as long as possible. And I moving forward, like I did that throughout training camp, throughout spring practices, and it was too stressful on the body, and I hit a wall. And I wasn't sleeping. I was depressed. I had anxiety, and just like all of that energy that I once had was completely gone. And we're just going straight to it. This is the first episode, and I'm going straight into it. But I think it's important for y'all to know, like, where I'm, like, why I'm so interested in this. And so since that point, it's been a journey to, one, recover, just get back to a baseline of normalcy. And I'm still in the process of doing that, but I'm feeling light years better than I was when that happened. And it's a work in progress. But so I say that to say all that to say, I'm here now because for the past, I don't know, since me and Lexi have been friends for a while. She worked at the Jones Center, which is our academic center, and that's where we first met. Then she was at the CrossFit gym I went to for a while. And, she was just always a good friend, always supportive of, I was studying for the MCAT. I was trying to, do whatever. And she was always supportive. And we had talked about doing a podcast last year. And, I think, I was just not in the position
This wasn't the right time.
It wasn't the right time. It just wasn't the right time. But we, for some reason, got back together. That
started talking about our hearts.
Yes, it started talking about our hearts and
journeys, and
it was great. And this is back in September, and we went on walks together. We were just talking about life and what we thought life was supposed to be. And
we both share a vision of living life to the fullest and living our best life and what that looks like spiritually, emotionally, physically, all that kind of stuff. And so we figured we wanted to share it with the world. I'm not speaking to the microphone again.
Gotta speak in the mic.
Yeah, and so we just have been hanging out, sharing books, podcasts, all that kind of stuff, learning. And I think through that, also we did a very cool dance event that I feel like we need to talk about, which is cool. Not right now.
So good. We'll get to that.
But all that to say is that we're doing a podcast because our heart is to help other people live their life to the fullest through our experiences, through our challenges, through our successes. Because life as a human is messy, and it can feel very lonely, and it can feel like we're by ourselves kind of discovering and learning, but we're not. And so a lot of what I learn in working with clients is that we aren't aware sometimes. We don't know what we're holding in our bodies, and sometimes we just need help. And so hopefully the podcast will be of help to people, and maybe just, I don't know, comic relief, because sometimes we're funny, and or maybe maybe we can answer questions, or you can just laugh at how silly we sound, or whatever. I don't know. Maybe just filling a gap in your lives, I guess. And so we both like to nerd out about science and health and ask weird questions and use the word swirly and all that stuff. So here we are.
So here we are.
I guess a little bit about my story is I would say that I'm pretty blessed that my family took health pretty seriously. I wouldn't say they were as like crunchy as I currently am, but we lived on a farm and we raised our own beef and, ate well, I would say, and, very active. Both of my parents are very healthy. They still are. And I did a lot of if anybody knows me in the slightest bit, I did a lot of jumping around in college and changing my major and all this kind of stuff. And so I think I've always been on a search for finding out how to live my best life, but also to help others attain that as well. And so whether that's through friendship and conversation or what I do as a profession, my desire is always to help people. And so got into CrossFit, got into the health world, worked in the Razorback football weight room and for a couple high schools, and have been running my own business trying to just achieve holistic health, I guess, and helping other people achieve that as well. And it's a daunting task. There's a lot to it. And we're always learning, we're always growing. So that's why we're doing the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do you think why is this such an issue, do you think? Where did we go wrong? Like
as a human race?
Yeah. And that's a deep question.
It is a deep question, but no, that's good.
But, why are we in this predicament in the first place? Like, how bad is it?
Very bad. It's very bad. I would say that several different reasons, but I would say we as people want to do what we want. And that means being lazy. We're going to cut corners, convenience, all that kind of stuff. And I think that we like to be our own God. We said we weren't doing religion, but I think I don't know how to not. So, and I think that we are not aligned. We don't know how to love fully. We don't know how to embrace fully. We don't know how to feel fully, to know what the next right thing is. And a lot of us are just floating through life, just reaching at different things to see if that fits rather than truly asking for guidance or asking what does fit and what is supposed to be next, which neither is wrong. But I think that we don't listen to our hearts. We don't listen to what we're good at. Instead of we let a lot of external pressures deter us from what we feel like we're supposed to be doing. We just talked about that today. Sometimes I can't walk in spaces and not feel the pressure. But I think that we look at other people and we compare. And when we compare, we don't know the struggle that is had, or we don't know all the details of how people get to where they're at. But as far as medically or food-wise, I don't know if I want to get that fiery right now about food and plastic.
Right. Yeah. I think I don't know. Do we want to get into the stats?
You know the stats. Yeah, I'm not a stats gal. Go ahead.
I know
the stats.
There's one stat that really blows my mind. There's a couple. I mean, so to begin with, 1/3 of Americans are obese.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
And over half are overweight. Can you believe that?
Mm-mm.
Blows my mind. Diabetes is at an all-time high. I don't know. Someone was talking a couple weeks ago, and they were saying back in 1980s, the rates for autism was 1 in 10,000.
Yeah, they're very high now.
And now it's 1 in 34 kids have some degree of autism. 1 in 34 kids has some degree of autism. And there's nothing wrong with if you have a child that has autism. From what I've heard, it's life-changing, and they're some of the happiest kids that you'll be around.
But there are still struggles.
There are struggles, and it's not always a pleasant experience for them. They're very sensitive to different input, like lights and sounds and stuff like that. So it's hard. And so I just say that because there's a reason these are getting worse. These stats are getting worse. I mean, you look at all the programs that the government has implemented since, I don't know the exact date, but how are those programs actually working for us?
No.
Yeah. Are they working? Like, have we even looked at what the results of the food pyramid have done for Americans. I mean, diabetes, obesity, they're in an all-time high. It's a metabolic issue. If we take care of our diet, these go away. Look at the healthcare system as a whole. We're spending, I don't know the exact number, I should know this, but billions and trillions of dollars on healthcare each year. It's one of the worst numbers in the world. And we pride ourselves on being, the greatest country in the world when our health is not even close to the top. And it's just, that blows my mind. It's unbelievable. And I'm getting fired up.
Well, I have a couple things to say about that. So a couple of things. The first thing is when I went back for my, I guess, third degree, that's embarrassing. Third degree, it was for a nutrition class at the University of Arkansas. And it was sports nutrition. And then I took a regular, just like general nutrition class. And I remember that there were like Arkansas athletes in this class, and they were asking the teacher questions, and she couldn't answer them. And it like startled me because this was before I was getting into nutrition and coaching and all that kind of stuff. But
what was the question? They
were like asking how much protein a day they should have, or what fueling for performance looks like, or whatever. And she couldn't answer them because she was a registered dietitian at a hospital. So her job was mainly spent putting liquids for people who, have to have a feeding tube. And that is a terrible way to live. However, I still felt like as a professor at the university that she still either should have given them resources or something like that. So then when I took my sports nutrition class, it was the same thing. These athletes were not being equipped on how to fuel their bodies properly. And Brooks talked earlier about him being an athlete. And I don't know what that looked like as far as like fueling and the education for that. But I actually have an intern working for me, and she knows stuff only because she's teaching herself. And we're not equipping people as a whole, let alone athletes, to fuel their body in a proper way for performance, for life, and all that kind of stuff. All that to say is that America as a whole, we choose convenience over health. We choose laziness and comfort over taking an extra, few minutes to like cut up some vegetables or make some meat or just things like that. And so even kids' foods, all of them are packaged. Even if it says organic, it's still packaged, and preservatives have to be put in packaged food. I just got back from London, and over there, their portions are half the size of America. And everybody walks everywhere. They eat whole foods, things like that. And sure, it's inconvenient to have to walk to get your groceries, and you can't buy as many things and all that kind of stuff. However, all that to say, it's important. It's important, and they're a lot healthier overseas and a bunch of other places because not everything is as readily available to people, and we pride ourselves on convenience and the ability to have whatever you want. But I think that that's hurting us. I think that the ability to have whatever you want is hurting us.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. So I think that's a good place to leave off for now.
Yes.
We'll keep them waiting. So call to action. What would you guys like to hear from us based on what we just spoke about? There was a lot there. Any suggestions or, advice as new podcasters? Yeah, we would appreciate any and all advice and suggestions. If there's a topic that you'd like to speak about or whatever in that regard, let us know, and we will definitely bring it up on one of the next podcasts. So if you have any suggestions, we have an email. It's Brooks and Lexy Podcast. It's all spelled out, BROOKSANDLEXY podcast @gmail.com. Or we don't have an Instagram page yet, but we're going to have one. We'll also be called Brooks and Lexy Podcast. Or if you are close enough to us, shoot us a text. And
Sounds so exclusive if you're
Yeah,
close
shoot
enough.
us a text. Yeah. If you're on the inside.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So thank you guys again for listening. If you do listen, and please share to all channels, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We'll probably have to get a TikTok. at
Oh,
some point.
absolutely not.
Okay. You're right. We have YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel. And that is it. How do you end a podcast? Do you just cut it off, or
We say thanks for listening.
do you do some cartwheels?
This is not a big enough space for cartwheels.
Yeah, this is tiny.
It's a tiny box.
It's kind of stressing me out a little bit now. It's okay.
You look chill.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
Got my foot up. Okay. Well,
That's all for now.
that's all for now.
Bye.
Ta-da. Bye-bye.